So hey, what's going on? Little video today. Little problem that I'm having. I've already done this to two vehicles that I have, but here's the problem that I'm having. Since I'm not working anymore, I'm not really driving anywhere. Basically I have these vehicles. I'm gonna flip you around here. I have my old truck down there, my Ridgeline. It's an 06. The only time I really drive that is when I go to the dump, which the dump is not even a quarter mile from my house. A transfer station is what they like to call it. It's basically the dumps where you take your trash. For us people to live out here in the I call it country, but it's not really country, rural country. But and I do that once a week. The only other time it gets driven is when I'm fishing and I'm towing something, the trailer or the boats, which is hopefully is going to be right much this year, but I don't know. We'll have to see. And then I drive this mostly when I have to go to like doctor visits. This is my 06 Pilot. Now, my 06 Pilot does have a small battery drain on it, and that's something I have to check into and look at. But all three of these cars, and this is our spare car. We bought this. This is an 03 CRV. Yes, we're a Honda family. Well, I say we're a Honda family. We'll get into that. We bought this as a spare car when my son was living with us, because his daily driver was like a 70 something Beetle, and it was a nice car. The engine had been redone, but the wiring was a hosed slam up on it, and it would let him down a lot. So we bought this as a spare car so he would have something to drive when he was figuring that out. Since then, he's got a newer car, so this just kind of sets. Also, most of the time it doesn't get driven at all, hardly. But now this car I don't have a problem with, because it's an 03. That's an 06, and this is an 06. Now this used to be my wife's old car, and I used to drive the truck as a daily when I was working. The issue we had with this car, though, and this has 340,000 miles on it, was the transmission started shuddering in it, which is a common problem in the newer ones. But with the mileage that's on it, I tried, and I've always maintained them. Of course, being a mechanic for 43 years, I maintain my cars meticulously. So when it started doing that, I didn't want to sell it, because I just didn't want to sell something like that to somebody, because I knew it couldn't be fixed other than replacing the transmission, which it really wasn't worth it. And I just sunk a lot of money into it by doing a timing belt job, an oil pump, before it started slipping. So I just drive it with it's not slipping, it's shuddering. So I just drive this with the shudder in it. It doesn't bother me. Of course, it's going to let me down one day, and I'll just call a tow truck, come and get me. But it's got brand new tires on it, and like I said, we sunk some money into it before it started doing that. But even with me driving it, it's not long distance. The most I drive is like an hour away, to and from wherever I'm going. So with that one having a draw, that one not getting driven enough to recharge the battery, what I was having to do, the batteries were going dead on these cars. So I have installed on those two cars already, and I'm going to install one on this car. I just got these the other day. It was a set of two. It's a cutoff switch, and that's the company that makes them. This was two-piece. The first one I bought was for the Pilot, and let me get this out the bag here. Basically, that's all it is. It's a cutoff switch. You just screw this down, and it makes contact, and you have juice or electricity going to your car. and you just unscrew it, you know, 4 or 5 times, and it disconnects the battery, so your battery doesn't drain is basically what happens. Or it doesn't go dead. Because these cars, now that one's got navigation on it also. This is something that you cannot do to like a newer vehicle. These cars are older, but even without one having navigation, and the Ridgeline down there, you know, with the electronics on the seats and everything, you have to reset everything. Like the radio has to be reset. You know, if you have the adjustable seats and you want them to have memory where you get in and out, you have to reset all that. Now on Hondas, you have to reset the idle on it also, but basically you just hold it at 3,000 RPMs until, you know, the fans come on, and then you let it idle. Well, I just drive the car. I just get in it and drive. You know, 3,000 RPMs is what cruising speed is anyway, so I don't even worry about setting it. I just drive it. So we're going to install this little thing, which if you're mechanically inclined, it's pretty easy. But yeah, I just thought I'd make a little video of it, so here we go. You can wear gloves when you do this. Now you want to put this on the negative side, and the reason for that is anytime you're messing with batteries on a car, you always want to disconnect the negative first so that you don't short anything out in the electrical system. And basically, if you have some corrosion, you want to take care of that and clean it and everything. Of course, I keep mine maintained. And this is going to go onto this piece here, and then we're just going to tighten it down. You want to make sure that this is in the off position, I'm going to call it, and we just tighten this down. Now you want to make sure that this is on here all the way and that it's not loose. On my truck it was a little loose, and if you scoot it way up on there, it fits really good. And you just put this on your negative post and tighten her down. That's all it is to it. I don't have any grease with me right now, but I'm going to take some grease and I'll put some grease all around this to keep it from corroding. Just make sure it's tight. See, it's not tight. It's not tight enough. Hondas are kind of funny about that. You need to really make sure that they're all the way down on the post before you tighten them up. Which, if you have a Honda and you go to an auto parts store and they want to put those little felt things under there for corrosion resistance, tell them no, because that causes nothing but problems, because they just don't tighten down tight enough. If you get it up on the top of the post, which is what they do, they set it off. And one thing you want to be careful about is these are brass, so you don't want to tighten it down too tight, because they will break in this area, because it's, you see, now we can't move that, so we're all good. And then, like I say, when you want to drive it, just push that down. We got connection to the battery. And start your car and go about your day. Loosen it up. Now the problem with that is every time you want to start the car, you know, you have to do this. So, but for me, it's not a big deal. You know, I'd rather do that than have to keep charging and discharging the battery, because every time you discharge a battery, it kind of per se kills it. You know, it's not good for it to keep draining it down and having to recharge it. So we don't drive this that much, so we're going to leave it like that. Loosen it up, and we're set to go. See, I just thought I would share that with y'all. Like I say, I guess it's one of the things that you have to deal with. Now, you know, if you're in this position and you have a newer vehicle, and when I say newer vehicle, I'm talking maybe, you know, 2000, 15 and up. Some cars, depending on how much stuff you have on it, the more computer modules that you have in the car, the faster it's going to discharge, because those modules have to stay awake in order to retain memory. So, you know, newer cars is kind of a pain, because all those have to remember, have to reset their memory, either by driving the car so that, you know, the engine computer knows, you know, what's happening, and reset your ratios for your computer. But these older cars, it's not really a big deal, unless you just don't want to have to reset everything. But it's just an option for somebody like me, you know, because it's just going to kill the battery after a few weeks. Which is what's happening, because I mean, like I say, the in a lot of these cars, especially the newer ones, the computer controls the alternator, so you actually have to drive the car in order for it to charge the system. It's not like in the old days, like these older cars that I have, where you just start the car, let it run for 20 minutes, and it'll actually charge the battery up. New cars aren't like that. They don't work that way. So, you know, it's just an option. If you have a problem where you don't drive on, you know, a daily basis or a weekly basis, and you're finding that your brand new battery is not holding up, it's probably because you're not driving it enough, or not driving it far enough. So I'll put a link down in the bottom to that little cutoff switch, and they work great for, you know, all kinds of stuff. I had the CRX, which y'all seen on this channel, you know, way back in the day. Of course, I sold it and bought a boat, because I just couldn't get in and out of it anymore because of my back. But I actually had to install one of these on that, because I had a draw that was intermittent. And one night, I was taking the trash out and happened to see the heater control panel was flickering. It was on, and that's what was happening. It had a short in it. So of course, I just took it out and put a switch in it to run the fan, because they were astronomical at the time, and most of them that you found were so old they were just broke anyway. So yeah, appreciate you watching, and hopefully we'll get some fishing done. Got a couple of appointments for the doctors today, so I'll be doing an update here on my health here soon. So, but just a little video to tide you over. Again, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.